Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the Hoopsville Studios, the WBCA Hoopsville Studios. I'm your host, Dave McHugh. Got our cup of coffee because it's been a long weekend. Welcome to the show presented by D3Hoops.com. If you got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville or use the hashtag Hoopsville. Promise to try and keep up on that as we move along. Also, you can email us, hoopsville at d3sports.com. We got it up and running in front of us, so we should be able to catch your emails there as well. You can also interact with us on the YouTube chat room, as it were. We'll be there as well, and looking forward to hearing from you. We're also on Instagram, Threads, and all these other channels. To be honest, it is tough to keep up with those in-show when it's just me, myself, and our studio. We have tried desperately to get our pup Tucker to be a producer on the show. It just hasn't worked out. It's unfortunate. He's got standards that he wants to be paid by, and we just don't have that many treats in the house. Got a great show ahead of us, and we've got a great season ahead of us. I saw this tweet in the last hour from Matt Snyder, which he sent it a couple of days ago. I just happened to see it today. And I completely agree with. This is going to be a great season. It's going to be close games. It is going to be interesting results. There are going to be surprises. There are going to be close calls. To give a synopsis of it, and I'm not trying to really paint anybody any way in this sequence, but Yeshiva goes to Randolph-Macon on Friday, right? Double checking my days because my brain is complete mush. Saturday, apologies. Saturday. They were there Saturday because, of course, it was a Sabbath. And they played an 8:15 p.m. game. And in my opinion, no surprise, Macon easily handled that game. Just easily controlled much of that contest. The next day, Sunday, Yeshiva plays Mary Washington. Mary Washington, overtime win against Rowan, looking very good for Marcus Kahn's program. They go overtime. Yeshiva nearly knocks them off with a Hail Mary at the end with a missed layup. Does that mean that Yeshiva is equal with Mary Washington? Mary Washington is that far behind Randolph-Macon? Maybe. Could also simply be matchup things. Could be that Mary Washington took Yeshiva a little bit lightly, considering the result against Macon. There's a million answers and possibilities in there to figure out. And as a result, top 25 is going to be a bear. It's going to be an absolute bear to try and vote. We don't get one this week. We get one next week. So we'll get a whole nother week of questions and answers, maybe. And ponderies is probably an even better way of saying it, to figure that all out. And then we can get at least the first week in. Speaking of which, there's at least one team on the top 25 that's not on my ballot that we'll be talking to today. Let's take a look at the Hoopsville board, shall we? We're going to go coast to coast today. No, we're not talking about the CDC. Marcus Kahn from Mary Washington was on already this season. We're going to go all the way out to Cal Lutheran to talk women's basketball with their head coach. They had a strong finish to last year. That is a SCIAC race that is worth watching. You might be talking about multiple teams from the SCIAC women getting in March, or at least in the conversation to get in March. Part of it's because of Cal Lu. Then we'll fly from Thousand Oaks to Montclair, New Jersey, and talk to Montclair men's basketball coach Justin Potts. Sorry for forgetting the state there. A couple of reasons. Part exhaustion. We'll talk to Justin Potts about the favorite in the NJAC to win the conference title and what the challenge of that will be. I got to see Stockton this weekend. Stockton's good. I don't know if they're going to be Montclair good, but they're going to be spoiler good. They're going to be middle of the conference good. So are a bunch of other teams in that conference. Then we'll head to the My Miss, Wisconsin-La Crosse. JT Gritzmacher will join us to talk about his Eagles, and we'll talk about how I completely missed them in my preseason top 25. I'm human. I'm certainly not perfect. Willing to admit that. And then we have the New England. I was looking at this and realized every time I've had Lynn Hersey on this show, it's been near the end of the year. We've waited for Lynn. We decided, hey, we're going to talk to Lynn in late January, maybe marathon time. We'll talk to her in February. And there's two reasons for that. If you don't know how I do this show, I I will only talk to a program for the most part once from the start of the year until late February, until another reason allows. Now, if I go to talk to them a second time, then I'm having a completely different guest on. Case in point, I'll talk about Scranton women's basketball in a minute here. We may need to get Ben O'Brien on the show here soon, but I've already got an idea for Scranton women's basketball for January. It's not Ben, it's somebody else. But as a result of that, I will sit here and I'll kind of massage and think my guests through. Hey, you know what? Really going to be talking to, let's say, Randolph-Macon men's basketball and Josh Merkel, right? We're going to talk to them at some point this season. When do I want to do that? Do I want to do it now, meaning we're never going to get a chance to talk to them later? Or do we talk to them now because we'll have other ODAC guests and other angles to take from that later in the year? Well, we've already had Virginia Wesleyan on, so we're not going to have the men on. By the way, the women are pretty good too, so I want to make sure I time that so they're not too close to one another. As a result, some of these top teams, I will wait until the back end of the season because they're the ones everyone's talking about. That's not always the perfect remedy because late in the season, I might want to go talk to somebody else, like a Wisconsin Lutheran. But because I haven't talked to Smith, I'm going to pick Smith. That's why we didn't get Wisconsin Lutheran and Clay Knippel on this show for a number of years. It's an overthinking on my part. So this year, I've kind of taken a different approach. I've decided, you know what? Let's get some of these big teams in now. And then we'll be able to have more room for other teams to talk to. And furthermore, if we really need them on, we'll find another angle. So Smith women's basketball is coming on in November. I don't know if we've ever talked to Lynn Hersey at this point in the season. We learned something end of last year. That is a team. Lynn Hersey's a damn good coach because I didn't think last year's team had a prayer at the Final Four. They've now made 3 straight Final Fours, though that could be pretty bitter as well as they've been knocked off in all 3 of those. So no titles for the Pioneers/Bears. So we will talk to Lynn here in November, get her take on things. By the way, another thing, their athletics director is the chair of the women's basketball committee. So Smith's going to pop up on this show quite a bit. Good to talk to Lynn here today instead. So that's how we're going. We're going from Thousand Oaks, California to Montclair, New Jersey, back to La Crosse, Wisconsin, and then up to Boston, Massachusetts region. Coast to coast, everybody. That's how we'll do it today. And I'm looking forward to take you along for the ride with us. Couple of news and notes. Let's start with the big one. Scranton women's basketball knocked off Pitt women's basketball 69-63 on Sunday. There's just one catch. It most certainly was a game for Pitt because all D1 teams, once they start the season, by the way, I spilled some coffee. We'll be cleaning that shirt now. All D1 basketball teams, once they start the season, play real games. There's no exhibitions per se for them. There's no allowance. So if they're playing a game in season, it's a game. But for D3, and I think D2, there's an allowance that when you're playing those programs, if you haven't used your scrimmage/exhibitions, which there are 2 in Division III, in your preseason, then you can use one against a D1 later on. It will count for D1. It will not count for D3 squad. That's what happened here. Scranton used it as an exhibition. So this does not go on their win-loss record. For Pitt, it most certainly goes down as a loss. This is a catch-22 for Division III. You might remember, if you listen into our conversation with Clay Knippel last week, he mentioned they're going to go play Milwaukee, Wisconsin to make up for the loss of El Verno from the conference. And makes sense, but they're counting that game. They're not going to count it as an exhibition, and I kind of gave them a little bit of a hard time for that as we hide the coffee stain on the TV here. But I've also given a hard time when teams have knocked off teams, like in this example with Scranton, and said, why didn't you count it so we can make a bigger deal of it? So hats off to So listen, there's no win, right? There's no win. Because if you count it as a game and you lose that game, which, let's be honest, Scranton, the odds are we're probably expected to lose. I don't know what the cover was in Vegas for this game. But does Scranton want to have a loss hanging on them the rest of the season that they're going to be judged by? Or do they want to call it an exhibition? It doesn't hurt them. And the only worst case scenario, they win and it doesn't count. Well, that's usually the easy answer. versus in Milwaukee, Wisconsin's case. And by the way, hats off to that program. They beat Gustavus Adolphus and Wartburg this past weekend. They are looking like a damn good basketball team out there with the Warriors. If you count it, the downfall is you're likely going to hang a loss on you. And so an undefeated season can't happen. And not that an undefeated season is ever on anybody's radars, except if maybe you're NYU, maybe you're Scranton, maybe you're a handful of others, especially in women's basketball. So it's a catch-22. As a result, hats off to Scranton. Open the game 6 of 13 from the floor. Sophia Toludo, I think is how you said it, hit 2 threes in that first quarter. Pitt opened the second half with a 16-2 run and had a 50-44 lead. But then the Scranton held the Panthers to one field goal over 5 minutes and regained the lead 55-53. So they went on an 11-3 run. By the way, Pitt will be playing Lemoyne next. Scranton will then get into conference play against Drew. So hats off. Unfortunately, it just doesn't count. Other great basketball this weekend. Emory had an absolute dogfight of a game against Trinity, Texas, who knocked off Emory. WashU had to hold off St. Thomas. TCNJ edged Wesleyan in a battle of top 25 programs. Emory women continued to play well. We mentioned Wisconsin Lutheran women. Catholic knocked off Christopher Newport in women's basketball, 84-74. I think that's women, or is that men? That's men. Apologies. I've got them backwards. Calvin continues to win. They got a win over Colorado College in men's basketball, 85-70. This is just from Saturday. Hope knocked off Wheaton women. It's just a lot of good basketball. And it's going to be this conversation of, it's going to be like this almost every night. You're going to have great results, great tests, great challenges. And it's going to be, if you don't tune in, you're going to miss something. And I am an example of that. I am trying. This is a tough time of month for me. I'm still finishing up fall sports for a lot of schools. I've got D1 jobs that I have that take my attention. Things won't slow down, and that's a scary thing, until December. When things slow down in my world, that means there's no work. So December, things will slow down to some degree. I'll be helping Pat Coleman with some projects, and we'll be getting ready for the D3Hoops.com Classic in Vegas. But I don't get sometimes I literally come home and I'm exhausted. I'll give you an example. Saturday, great game between Gettysburg men and Stockton men. Scott Bittner's squad, listen, I know they lost their leading scorer, but they've got some nice ideas there. Bittner is a defensive madman. Threw a lot of curveballs in just their second game of the season at Gettysburg, who is playing was playing their fourth game under new head coach Matt Hunter. And Stockton wouldn't go away. Great game to call with my colleague Brendan Hodges, who is a McAllister graduate, played football at McAllister, certainly knows his stuff in terms of an analyst and broadcaster. So that was a lot of fun to do that. And I came home. I had worked Friday night at my D1 gig at Towson. We had Hoopsville on Thursday. It had been a week of just nothing but events. And I was supposed to go to an event Saturday evening as a fundraiser, and I crashed. I absolutely crashed. I had another gig on Sunday, and I was done. I showed up at the gig on Sunday with a cup of coffee, and my colleague looked at me and went, "Coffee type of day?" I said, "It is a coffee type of weekend." It is exhausting. So I didn't really tune in to a lot of the games. I caught up with some highlights and some other things later. I'm just toast. And so if you miss one, you're spending half a day catching up. And I know that situation. So it's going to be that kind of season. And I'm looking forward to it. It's not going to be a bad thing. Quick note, we had a couple of new members join the Hoopsville membership. Thank you so very much. Since we were last on the air, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville or scan the QR code, which will always be on the screen where you need it. A quick note to our football crew. Congratulations to them finishing the regular season strong. Big upset with F&M over Johns Hopkins. What the hell happened to the Blue Jays? Dropped a 21-0 lead, lost in overtime, and lost pretty much control of that D3 football bracket. Bracket is out in football, and so they will start sprinting, jogging, however you want to call it, towards the Stag Bowl, which of course is in January this year. But congratulations to all that. And congratulations to all the soccer programs and field hockey programs. Volleyball is about to start their championships. All the fall sports, congratulations to all of them. So, back to the point, buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. Sign up for a membership. Top 25 show on Monday is only available to those who subscribe at the tier level that allows it for membership. And so that'll be available live for those people and for a period of time before we release it to the public. So if you want to see what everybody's thinking about in terms of the top 25 before everybody else, head to buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville or scan the QR code on the screen in front of you. We got links on our show page as well and elsewhere. So there you go. That's how we're off and running today. So much to talk about, so little time, as it were. We're going to start out this show today out at Thousand Oaks. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Kelli DiMuro joins us to talk about the Cal-Lu women's basketball program. We don't usually get out to Skyac country this early in the year, but the women's race is going to be worth watching. We'll head out there and talk to them when we come back. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA Studios. Back with more soon.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.D3Hoops.com.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's NABC.com or NABC1927 on social media.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor. It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
I used to never really talk, ever. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. It helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, The game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's NABC.com or NABC1927 on social media.
Responsibility is being...
There we go. Got my audio back. Welcome back, everybody, as we roll along here, as we're going to be jumping from coast to coast today, starting with women's basketball. As you see on the top board, Cal Lou is up next. Sorry for a delay. A little bit of technical difficulty, but don't feel bad for our guest. She's not having a horrible day, other than maybe we're interrupting on a very nice day. Cal Lutheran women's basketball, certainly a team to watch this season. To paraphrase slightly, Scott Peterson has said a few times to me he thinks the SCIAC race could come down to 3 teams making the NCAA tournament, or at least that's the conversation we're going to be having all the way until the NCAA tournament. Cal Lou women off to a 4-0 start with wins over Hartford, Albertus Magnus, Stanton, and Texas Lutheran this weekend on a 3-point swing. They've got La Sierra coming up. Then they get right into conference play with one of the teams I think is going to be in the conversation potentially, Whittier, then Caltech, then a very good UC Santa Cruz team. What does this all mean for the program? Well, let's jump to the Hoopsville hotline and join our guest, who's unfortunately, in our case, she's at the golf course. Kelli DiMuro joins us. She's not golfing, I don't think. Coach, welcome to the show. At least let everybody know why we don't catch you at maybe a basketball court this morning out there in the SoCal region.
Yeah, doing a fundraiser for golf tournament. So I am here working the golf tournament, not playing, unfortunately.
Well, for our sake, I appreciate you finding some time during the fundraising, and those golf fundraisers are always huge events for athletic programs. So. Interesting. I don't usually find one in September, but this might be the perfect time of year to play it out there. First and foremost, we should point out, you're a graduate of Cal Lou, 1996. We don't have to point out how we're all both kind of in the same class genre there. But you're now, you've been running this program. The team has kind of gone from 11-13 in 2019, 2020, 2018, 2019 was a 9-16 campaign, 21-7 last year, 11-5 in conference play. We saw you at the D3 Hoops Classic, played Wittenberg, and I'm forgetting who the other one was, and certainly played well. This is a SCIAC that I think gets overlooked. I think it's a program that gets overlooked. Things are changing in Regal Land, aren't they?
Yes, definitely changing. We have worked really hard to recruit the best kids, the best character kids, and the women are professional and getting it done on the court and in the classroom too.
You took over the program. What are you? You're in your. Well, you
I'm
took
going
over right
into my
before
seventh.
COVID, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you took over the season prior to COVID. So obviously, we're already seeing that turnaround. Again, we pointed out the 9-16 campaign, and after a couple of kind of kick the rock years, 15-10 in 23, 19-8 in 24, and as we mentioned, 21-7 last year. What's been the secret in terms of the grander scheme, right? Not the nuance, but the grander scheme of getting people to buy in at Cal, getting the recruits you want, and getting them to the kind of program you want, that you've been able to succeed, especially in the challenges that COVID presented, but now pivoting out of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think just we really work with chemistry. We've gotten a lot more California kids too, where I can, they can stay close to home. Homesickness is a big deal for them, but I think that's also a reason. We've really tried hard to play teams that our strength of schedule is a lot better these days, so we're working on that.
Per the strength of schedule, I'll get back to the type of players you're getting, because I find one connection interesting. But back to the strength of schedule, is that a conference conversation? Because I know from a national perspective, we've been trying to encourage that conversation from a national perspective.
Yes.
What is that conversation like?
Well, we try to share when we get the East Coast teams coming out or the Midwest teams coming out, we try to share and get everybody's strength of schedule up. But it's really difficult for us to get to like New York or even Midwest. It's expensive, and we have a lot of kids on the roster. We have 20 right now, and that's a lot to travel. So yeah, I mean, it's always a conversation. We're trying to work on it where that's my goal. Is we were supposed to play Smith up there in Boston when we went there, but playing all the government shutdown and stuff, we could not do it. We had to play in the 1:00 game and not the championship game, which we should have been playing in, unfortunately. But yeah, just expenses all the time, and just, our size of rosters hinder us as well.
Yeah, the tournament turned more into a classic, did it not?
It did.
It did. Yeah, unfortunate to miss out on Smith. Ironically enough, we have Smith coming up on the show a little bit later. Okay. So obviously you're sharing teams. We've seen an increase of SCIAC, especially on the women's side. SCIAC teams coming to that event in Vegas. Obviously it's a drive for everybody who don't understand. It's not too hard. We got to see you guys last year. Is that also a help for you to test yourself against teams that are maybe not willing to come all the way out to the West Coast, but you're not going to be able to entice to get there too? You get a variety?
Yeah, I mean, we enticed Texas Lutheran to come out here. We paid for some hotels and tried to get them to come out. And we have some East Coast teams coming out here. But ultimately, we're just trying to, bring those teams to us. And the Las Vegas tournament actually helped us quite a bit. And that's fairly close to us. I mean, it's a 4-hour drive, but we can fly in an hour. So, anytime we're playing, as I said, the top teams is going to help us.
Last year, you guys win the SCIAC championship, beating Whittier in the title game 73-61. Headed to Texas, took on McMurray in the first round, lost 79-63. Didn't get a chance to ask you this in the past. What was that experience and that outcome like? And B, how has that resonated and stayed maybe on the mind moving into this year?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think we were a little overwhelmed with the travel, and so soon the scouting of the team as well. There's a lot of things that go into the travel and getting the women prepared to do that. And in truth, I don't think that we did such a great job of preparing them to travel so quickly and change flights. And I mean, we flew the entire day and didn't get in until about 11 p.m. and started at 7 a.m. on the first. And then, our funny story, it's not really that funny, but our bus hit the top of the bridge of the Texas school we were playing against. So we got in a bus accident too. So that kind of rattled all of us. We're
I don't think I heard about that.
Yeah, that was a big thing. It hit the bridge. It was too low, and the bus driver didn't know that it was too low, and we just hit the bridge. Yeah, so that rattled a while. I mean, that shouldn't have affected us, but it did a little bit.
But it has its moments, right? It's still part of this whole nuance, and
right.
No disrespect to the coaching staff. It's new to you all. It's new to your players, so you can't exactly guide them when maybe they're looking for questions. You don't have seniors who've been through this before. A lot of times we talk about, sometimes it's a matter of getting to the tournament, understanding that tournament, and being able to grow from there. Case in point, sometimes it's about traveling to an in-season tournament to understand some of those dynamics as well. You went to Smith. There's little things like that it starts to become second nature when it still is a big event. And so you can take what you had last year and lean on it heavily moving into this year should you get to March again. And you can literally turn to everybody and go, oh, we've been here, right?
Right, exactly. And a little adversity and travel, that always helps. And the travel to Smith, it was the same concept. We traveled all day and played the next day. So, we're travel ready now, I think. So bring NCAA now. Now we just have to win.
Right, exactly. And we should point out, everybody, last time the Cal Lu women made the NCAA tournament was 2013.
Yes.
And so it had been a long time for everybody. Back to the question about recruiting, you had been a preparatory coach, and I say preparatory, not just a high school, a prep school. So, a higher level private school, and had a lot of success there. So the students that Cal Lutheran's going to be looking for. The type of players that you're going to be interested in and can make work. You've got that, and that seems to been the advantage, right? You're bringing all that experience in. A lot of times we don't talk about high school coaches having experience in the college level, but you kind of had some of those advantages coming in that have helped.
Yeah, my players all went to D1, D2, even some D3s, sent some of them to Cal Lu. Actually, in my 22 years, I've sent 12 players to Cal Lutheran. So I know D1, and I understood the recruiting process, and that was very helpful for me to come into Cal Lutheran. It wasn't a shock to the system or anything. And plus, I knew every high school coach and every club coach in the area, or from Northern California to Southern California. I was pretty well rehearsed in knowing those coaches, and that really helps. Word of mouth, man, that's how you get the players. It's not necessarily going out every time to the tournaments. It's
true
who you know and who's going to help you get to that. I take everybody's advice, so I'm not leaving anybody out.
Talk about this team. You say it's 20 deep. It is. It's also young. I think I counted three seniors on this team.
Three seniors.
So, and of those three seniors, I'm just double checking, Holly is certainly one of those who's a catalyst on this squad in terms of scoring and being part of the conversation. But it's really the underclassmen who jump out at you at the stat sheet, as it were. So this is a program that's still building on itself. And if last year was good, I'm figuring your expectations are you all should be even better this year.
Yes. And I don't know if you know this too, but we graduated 7 seniors last year. One of them was my daughter, who played for me for 5 years. So that's hard to do without her. She's helping us. She's coaching. But we had set the traditions and we had set the culture, because I did have 7 seniors last year. So we're just kind of following suit with that. But I definitely got some really great freshmen in class. We got a great freshman class. And then our upperclassmen, which are not really, juniors are my star players and my senior. But they put some pressure on each other, and having a squad of 20, they're ready to go and ready to take each other's spot at any moment. So it's very competitive in our practices.
Yeah, last year you had 5 players that I argue is double figures. 9.5 points or more is double figures, and that point. Your daughter, Aaliyah, was at 9.6. You had Sarah Mills at 9.7. Kaya Mack at 10.8. Jana Holly at 11.7. And was it Aline Ballard?
Aline.
Oh, it is Aline. Oh, I had a feeling. So Aline Ballard at 14.4. But what stands out is you might have lost 7, but Ballard and Holly, Mack, you still have a core of that scoring group with you still. So yes, you lost 7, but you still have a bulk of this team who's going to be there a year or 2 more.
Right. And that gives us an advantage, obviously. We're young, but we also know what it's like to win and to travel and do all that. So that kind of gives us a nice balance of girls and to be successful for a few more years at least.
Yeah. Last year's Skyac race, Whittier, Kristen Dowling, jumped back into the fray and brought that squad skyrocketing to the top of the conference. They won the regular season by 3 games. You all split with them and then knocked them off in the title game. Chapman was there, even though a 12-14 record, they were 9-7 in conference play. Pomona, Pitzer, Redlands, kind of programs we were expecting to be there, kind of simmered a little bit. It feels like this year everyone's kind of rising up. What do you expect from conference play, considering the first team you're going to face here very shortly on December 3rd is going to be Whittier?
Yeah, I mean, it's always difficult to play in our conference. And I know that's what's bothersome to me is that we are very talented and we really could beat plenty of teams out there, you know, the ones that are ranked. And I know that Redlands just beat the 25 Mary Hardin Baylor, or is that what it is? Yeah, the 2015. So I mean, our Skyac, and we scout really well for each other. So we play each other twice, and it could be anybody's game at any time. There's not. We have to be on and prepared every single game. So even with Caltech, we are always ready to go because we know each other so well.
You got non-conference as well kind of mixed in after the conference starts. You'll play Willamette, which honestly we can't get a read on. They are 1-2 to start the season. They haven't played a Division III. They will play 2 Division IIIs at the end of the month. They're both the same. They're UC Santa Cruz. Then they get into conference play. Out of conference, they're playing Occidental in Division III. Out of conference in Division III, they're playing 2 schools, Occidental and yourself. So Willamette's one of these schools we're not going to get a good read on. But then you have St. Scholastica, who's off to a 3-0 start with wins over Bethany Lutheran, Minnesota Morris, Wisconsin Superior. Then Nazareth, who's 2-1 this year, lost in overtime to Messiah, beat a St. Vincent squad. And as you mentioned, you get into this conference action, you got Whittier, you got Redlands, you've got all these others. So your schedule, and this is, I think, to Scott Peterson's point, is kind of, and by the way, Santa Cruz, 2-2, but some really good wins in there. Kind of subtly challenging schedule that's going to really help come March, but you also got to get the conference. You got to get conference play right. How much does that pressure kind of lurk?
Sorry, I missed the last part that you said.
Yeah, that's fine. How much does you still got to get conference play right? Like you still got to get through the conference schedule right. So how much does that lurk, that pressure of still playing well in conference compared to what you've got set up out of conference?
Well, I love to schedule tough teams. I mean, I really want the competition, and I want them to see what it's like to play against the best. So that's kind of how I've been preparing them. But, you know, in our season, our conference, I mean, you have to win. Like right now, I don't know if any of us are going to go to NCAA just on by the schedule that we have.
Fair.
So you have to win the tournament. So I am all about winning the tournament, trying to win Skyac, of course, the regular season, but ultimately the tournament is what's going to push us to the NCAA, and that's where our goal is to, win more in the NCAA than we have in the past. Meaning, like, get to the quarterfinals, get to where the men Redlands got there last year.
Right, knocking on the door of getting to the Final Four.
Right,
and programs like Pomona and others have certainly been building. I know Russell over on the men's program has been trying to build that as well. We'll joke about Russell in a minute, but before I let you go, back to the lovely golf course there in Thousand Oaks. By the way, golf course, Thousand Oaks, SoCal, all wrapped in one. It doesn't matter where you are. Sounds like a nice day.
It's beautiful.
I'm sure it is. We talked a little bit about this team. Is there anybody we haven't talked about that if I'm tuning into a game, I might notice, or another side of that, I should pay attention to?
I do have a 6'2" freshman. She is kind of fast. She's a little raw, but in her last game, she had 5 blocks against Texas Lutheran, I might add. Just act basket, kind of. She's learning how to be a back to the basket, but she also can penetrate. Her name is Caitlin Brongell. She is coming on fast. I expect her to be the one to look at for us and to help us just with the post play and guarding. Like at Redlands, they have AJ Wick, who is a preseason All-American, and I'm hoping that she can really defend the girls in the SCIAC. That will help us, and that just gives us some extra push.
She hasn't shot a lot, but she's 7 of 14. I mean, 50%, and leads the team in rebounding. You got her, Hine, and Ballard in the 8+ category there. She's already got 9 blocks on the season. Also, I noticed she doesn't foul a lot. She's only been called for 9 total fouls, which is averaging 2 a game. You can keep someone like a 6'2" center out there without foul trouble. That's a scary proposition.
It is. I mean, that's why we love her, because she does protect the rim. She also can score. She's raw, so we're teaching her, and I'm hoping the development of her in the next, month or so is going to, really take hold of her. We'll see. But also, I wanted to mention Sydney Hine too.
Yeah.
You mentioned her. I mean, she's a 3-point threat at 6'1". Also rebounds tough. But she's only a sophomore. She kind of sat on the bench last year, and now she's really coming in to her own. And that's kind of fun to watch, because, she maybe got 6 minutes last year, and now she's starting and making her mark. And she, helped us win that game against Texas Lutheran. She hit 2 threes. We paused. Okay.
No, we got you. Yeah, we broke up a little bit. We heard the message.
Okay, good.
So I got to let you go, but one quick question. Just doing some basic work ahead of this. I was on the athletic directory, and I noticed that Russell White has listed everybody and his mother, I think, maybe his wife, maybe his kids. There are 13 individuals besides himself listed under men's basketball. That's more than football has listed. You have, your fair share of assistant coaches and managers and faculty advisors, etc. Has anyone told Russell he doesn't need to list everybody, including his mother? I'm not saying she's on there. That it's okay. He's got interns, student managers, the whole works. What's he up to over there in that office?
I mean, he loves to involve everybody. That's part of it. That's how you bring everybody. Then fans come because you list everybody, because everybody wants to see what's going on. So, I mean, he's done a great job as well of just getting that team to back up to where, we both want to go. So, he does list a lot of he has a lot of managers who they just want to be part of the program, and that's special, So I'm trying to follow suit with that. I'm trying to, I have 6 now. I have 6 coaches now, which when I first started, I had 1.
Yeah.
So
we'll update because it's only listed as 4, but he's got 4 assistants, 3 student managers, 5 interns, and a faculty mentor all listed. I say it tongue in cheek. It is, I certainly get the premise. But I'm just saying, list everybody. Just name them, make them up if you have to.
Hopefully they didn't all travel. I don't think they did, but I don't know how.
I didn't consider that.
Ohio, so.
Yeah, that's its own bus.
It is. Quite a...
Hey, Kelly, I appreciate your time. Thank you for working through some technical gremlins with us as well. And go enjoy the golf. It's a tradition on this show. We always, though, give the guests the final word. So any final thoughts you want to share with those tuned in?
Just tune in and watch us and be ready to see Cal Lutheran come back on the scene and get to the tournament and get to, NCAA and hopefully get a little further than we did last year. But thank you again for having us on there.
Absolutely. Thanks for finding the time. Great job. I can't wait to see how this plays out. And we'll look forward to catching up with you down the road sometime.
Thank you, Dave. Have a good day.
You too. Kelli DiMuro joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. Great to chat with her out there in California. I think the Regals are a team. I think the Skyhook women's race is going to be fun to watch. We'll keep tabs on that. We're going to go back across the country on a quick jet, head to Montclair, New Jersey. When we come back, talk men's basketball with their head coach. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by DIII Hoops. Back with more after this.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that. A lot more.
Sure, the game is important. But as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics. And in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com. The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues.
Responsibility is being accountable for your words and actions, first and foremost. It also is an obligation to be a positive influence in the communities around you. Being in a D3 program, you're going to have lots of different opportunities. You're not just an athlete, you're also involved in student life. Your academics are extremely important. We give a lot of our student athletes responsibilities right from the start by giving them leadership opportunities, by having them engage in the community, be a positive influence. That's being a responsible person.
There are over 480,000 college athletes. Only 2% would go pro. That means over 470,000 will not get a shoe contract. No autographs. No private jets. No fan clubs. No Hall of Fame inductions. Instead, they will walk away with something much more valuable.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. I'm finishing up a tweet for our next guest as we cross country officially and head to the East Coast now to talk men's basketball in the NJAC. Here's another conference, for example, that I tend to kind of wait on to see what's going on, to see who we want to talk to. We don't have an easy pick coming out of the gate to say, yeah, we'll definitely talk to them, because I got too many questions to figure out. Well, Saturday I got to see an NJAC team in Stockton, Scott Bittner's squad. By the way, my quick side note, my best to Scott. I think he's a little battle-tested right now. We'll reach out to him. But the team certainly played well against a tough Gettysburg squad. But they're not the top pick in the conference, and a conference that continues every year to ebb and flow, evolve, and change. You think somebody's not in the race, they leap into it. The next year, maybe not. Rowan has been up and down, but they seem to be pretty solid this year. But the top pick is Montclair, the Red Hawks, and Justin Potts' squad, building off of a 22-7 campaign last year, 14-4 in conference play, got to the NCAA tournament before Western New England. No, that's not right. Am I right on that? Yes. Yeah, Western New England knocked them off the second round. So sorry. Sometimes things just don't read right. But those games were at home. So that's where this program's building. This year they're off to a 3-0 start. Wins over Dickinson, Penn State Harrisburg, and Alvernia. I got some questions about the Alvernia game. But because of that Gettysburg game that is coming, I figured this is the perfect time for me to talk to Justin Potts, because I just saw another NJAC team take on the Bullets. So joining us on the Hoopsville hotline to humor me, for lack of a better description, is Justin Potts. Justin, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. 3-0 start on the year. You got to be thrilled with that, but let's unpack it first. The last result was against Alvernia. You guys escaped with that one. Where do you think things stand with your team right now?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, Dave. It's a fun time of the year, obviously, in the Division III world. So, yeah, I mean, we found a way on Saturday. We weren't very good. I thought Alvernia played a great game. Their guard had a big time day at 40 points against us.
Yeah.
So that created some problems. I thought we got off to a slow start, mostly because of their ability to play, and they were very obviously excited and played very well early. I give our guys credit. We stayed with it. We have some experience, but we got a lot of young guys as well, and just kept hanging around long enough to get the game where we wanted in the last about 10 minutes. Got it going up and down a little bit more. We're able to get some stuff out of the pressure. I still think we're trying to find our way, like most teams in the country. I think the good thing was we finished that game with 3 freshmen on the court. Down the stretch, who all made some big plays. So that's definitely a good sign for us.
That's an incredible sign that you can lean in on a freshman group out of the gate like that. And listen, Alvernia is always a tough team, but high scoring, 93-91. I'd love to tell you that's not what Alvernia tends to do, but I think Alvernia will go and do whatever the game dictates and then try and control from there. That's just my read on it. They've had a lot of high scoring games this year.
They're very talented offensively.
Very difficult offense, yeah. They always seem to be. Now you're going to go up against a Gettysburg squad next. And again, I just saw them play Stockton. Of course, they also played number 2 Randolph-Macon to the buzzer. And they wiped the floor with Mount Aloysius. By the way, their schedule ahead, after Montclair, they'll play Notre Dame and Maryland, then Wesleyan, then Mary Washington and Salisbury, and potentially Roanoke, all before January, and get back into conference play. No joke of a schedule there for the Bullets. So they know there's a lot riding on this game. I'm not going to say you guys are Stockton. I know that that's not even a comparison, because the NJAC's full of different ideas and different ways, but you two are kind of the longest running coaches in that conference now. So I try and take something from it. Can you look at a Stockton game against Gettysburg and go, okay, we know what we can do here?
Yeah, I think you can see some similarities, obviously, because we know Stockton so well from the amount of times we've the last couple of years. So I think obviously when you watch the film, you can see some of the things they tried to do or some of the things Gettysburg was doing. We play such a unique style, running and pressing. So a lot of times it comes down to us getting the game into that scenario. Scott was picking up a little bit in their game and extending to the full court. So you could see some things there. I mean, I've known Coach Hunter for a long time. We were both assistants for a long time in the same area. So he does a great job. He did a great job at York, obviously. He's got a really good team. So I think it's going to be a great test for both of us. It's our first home game. I think it's their first road game.
Yes.
So I think that, I know our guys are excited to be able to play at home, and you want to test yourself this time of the year, and I think we've done that. We've had 2 one-possession games to start the year out of the first 3. And I expect it to be a good game Wednesday night with 2 really good teams and a lot of good players on the court.
Yeah, good point. That's the other dynamic here. They are away from Bream for the first time, and you guys get to be at home for the first time. Certainly will play a factor. We don't need to unpack that because that is an open-ended unpacking. You could go a million places with that. But I am curious. You talked about, Scott threw everything at them. I saw 3/4 full court. I saw full court. I saw 1 3-1s. I saw 2 3s. I think I saw a 3-2. I saw a man. Anything? I mean, what is your mentality when it comes to the defensive end? Let's go with that way. What's the mentality? Is it whatever that team does, we're going to try and counter, or do you have a specific idea of how you want to play? I obviously don't want you to. I know you're not going to give me all the X's and O's, but are you going into it with a specific mentality and going to force that team to make you change?
Yeah, I mean we're pretty straightforward. I mean we've been running and pressing. I did it at Moravian for 4 years there, and now in our 7th year here at Montclair. So that's kind of our calling card on the defensive end. I think we've been in the top probably 10 or 15 in the country the last 7 years in turnovers forced. So that's kind of what makes us go at that end of the floor. So we're pretty much a man team. We're going to pick you up 94 feet and try to get the game going to the tempo that we want it. It's ironic because nobody pressed, and now I feel like there's a craze going across the country. You look at what West Liberty and Nova Southeastern have done at the Division II level and all the success that they've had, and now you're seeing it a lot more places. More teams are picking up. I mean, you go back to the NBA Finals, the Pacers were picking up full court. So it's even starting to happen a little bit in the NBA. But yeah, I mean, we're going to run and press for 40 minutes. Sean Rossi does our offensive stuff, who was an All-American at Ithaca and still the all-time assist leader in Division III. So he does a really good job on the offensive side of the ball. And again, Gettysburg is big, physical. That's definitely not a strength of ours. We're on the smaller side. So we're going to have to, take some of that away and obviously clean up the glass because they do a good job there.
I know this is a weird question to ask. Matt's in his first year there. They're basically not playing what B.J. Dunn played, right? Because it wouldn't be right for Matt to come in and just pick up where B.J. did and ran everything B.J. ran, because he's going to have his ideas with the talent that he's got and what he wants to do. And I've already seen those changes. But is that an advantage almost for you guys? You've been there for 7 years. Montclair's got it established. Matt's still trying to establish what Gettysburg's going to do and what they're become. That team's still adjusting to what Matt wants. Is that an example, going 94 feet with everybody? Is that an example of a stress point you guys can exploit?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you got a guy that can coach like him, I don't know if it is a factor. You know what I mean? I think he obviously was able to get in there and like you said, he played some. He had a good win against Stockton. He played Macon to the buzzer. So he's obviously got him bought in already and executing some of the stuff that he's trying to accomplish. He's a long tenured head coach, so he's got a ton of experience.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a game where, you got 2 good teams that are challenging themselves in the non-conference.
Yes.
Both coming from conferences. So, I think it'll be a good test. You try to see different styles this time of the year. They're obviously, like I said, a little bit bigger and have more post guys. Dickinson had some size advantage against us as well. Harrisburg, Don does a great job. They were really physical and athletic. And then Alvernia really had some guys that could go. So, what we try to do in the non-conference, especially with the MPI and everything that's out there now, is try to challenge ourselves to the best of our ability as we head into the NJAC, because to your point, the NJACs, year in and year out, we're beating the heck out of each other. So I think our guys are excited for Wednesday. They know how good Gettysburg is, and we have a ton of respect for Matt and how he coaches and runs his program. So, again, hopefully we can get the game to our liking. I'm sure he's going to try to do the same on his side and try to, control the tempo and the pace the way they want to play it.
Yeah, after the Gettysburg game, you go right into conference play. You rip off that Band-Aid, ruin Thanksgiving dinner, however you want to look at it, because it'll be Rowan pre-Thanksgiving, William, Patterson, Rutgers, Newark, Ramapo, Rutgers, Camden following Thanksgiving into mid-December. Then SUNY Maritime out of conference. St. Joseph's of Connecticut out of conference at New Year's Eve. I'll ask you about that in a minute. And then Albertus Magnus before you get back into conference play. You're picked to be number 1 in conference by the rest of the coaches. What do you make of this conference? Because you look at last year's standings, and I'd argue throw them out because there's been too many changes. Stockton, yes, had a great year, but lost their leading scorer. TCNJ's got a new coach. Not sure what to make of Ramapo. Rowan looks like they might be coming back upward from a 12-14 year. What do you make of this conference this year and how you guys are going to play against it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about the NJAC is, to your point, every year is a new year, obviously, and you get a lot of in the world we all live in now. There's transfers in and out, and obviously guys are graduating and moving on. So I think it's going to be deep. I think there's a lot of good teams. I think the reality in the NJAC is I still think we're constantly fighting for a little bit of respect. It seems like on the national stage. We put 4 teams in the tournament last year.
4 teams in the tournament.
Yeah, 2 were hosts. Us and Ramapo both hosted. So TCNJ's got a great group back. Nick Koch was a heck of a player last year, and is a guy that's going to have a really good year for them. Scott's got a great group at Stockton. He's obviously mixing some new guys in, and they'll find their way for sure. So, I think the other thing about the NJAC that's so different than most leagues is, probably 80% of our guys are Jersey kids. So they played against each other in high school. They maybe played AAU together.
Yeah.
So when you play on Wednesday night, there's some animosity in the gym for sure. There's a lot of history with guys, and I think that raises the level of the league play. And playing everybody twice, 18 league games is a ton. And to your point, we play league games in November, which I know we've talked as coaches about, maybe trying to find a way to adjust the schedule because a lot of guys are still finding their way in November. So you could be a completely different team by the time you get to January and start playing the other half of the league. So
the running joke with
depth, a lot of depth, a lot of good players, and I think it's going to be similar to every year where you're going to have to bring it. You're going to have to play really well to find ways to win games, whether that's at home or on the road. The
running joke is Ramapo would get 3-4 transfers every Christmas. I know it's not always the case, but I mean that's the dynamic of state schools. By the way, New Year's Eve game against St. Joseph, is that one of those examples like you got to sneak it in somewhere, and because of conference play, that's what you got?
Yeah, we've always actually the last probably 5-6 years we tried to play on that New Year's Eve day, play it early in the day around 1 or 2 o'clock, and again with our conference starting in November, you get a little squeezed at times. So we didn't do a tournament pre-Christmas, and didn't find one after the Christmas holiday. So Glenn was looking for a game, we were looking for a game, and it lined up. It's not too bad of a travel for them coming down. No. So. I think it keeps your guys playing too. I'm a big proponent of that, of not too much time off. Where they obviously get 7-8 days, but let's get back to work and keep it going.
You mentioned 4 teams in the tournament last year. 2 got to host. Ramapo hosting basically because NYU men couldn't, but there was some quirks with that because NYU men didn't go there. But we don't need to dive into that. And I know I'm maybe making more out of this than it is, and I'm only asking it for question base. I don't have this opinion necessarily, but both teams knocked out in the second round at home. So on the NJAC, more respect, but can't get to the second weekend. Both had home games. Is that a frustration point for coaches within the conference? That hey, we sometimes have these opportunities in front of us and we can't take advantage of them, or is it just the way the cards were dealt, and you'll get back at it this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I was definitely frustrated. You don't get to host many NCAA tournament games, and when you got it on your floor, and we were pretty good at home all year. Didn't play well. I thought Western New England played a great game. Colin did a great job with his team. They were very well prepared. They had a lot of experience. A lot of upperclassmen. That was their first. I believe it was their first NCAA tournament win the night before. So obviously we're able to respond the next day and play really well. And I think we know it as coaches. I mean, to your point, a lot of the recognition from either a league standpoint or a program standpoint is can you get to the second weekend? And obviously we all fell short of that last year. You know, we were in it 2 years ago before that, and we fell short as well. I think Stockton and Rowan that year both went to the Sweet 16. So, you know, I think we all know as coaches, if you get into March, you got to find ways to win, and that obviously brings more credibility to the league. You know, I think what helped us last year as a league is we had great non-conference results. You know, Ramapo had a great non-conference, you know, had a good win against Mount Union out in Vegas. Scott had a couple really good wins. Rowan had some good wins, TCNJ as well, and we had a couple good ones. So I think the more we get out and play people, obviously the better. You know, and you get some wins, you get a little recognition that way. But yeah, at the end of the day, you got to win in March because that's where most of the you know, the respect and the,
two and four on the 2 and 4 on the opening weekend. Obviously not what you all want. But again, 4 teams made it. Quickly before I let you go, haven't dove in about the team here. Jacob Morales leading the team at 24 points a game. It's granted through 3, but still pretty impressive. Shoots 52%. Cabrian Goss is at 54%. He's in double figures. You've got 5 guys that jumped out at me, maybe 6, and maybe 1 or 2 seniors of the 4 in that group. So you've got a lot of underclassmen who are, as to your point, playing all those freshmen at the end of the game against Albright. You do have a diverse group here, and that's not only good for this year, that's good moving forward too. Give me a sense, though, of who these individuals are that we see at the top of the stat sheets.
Yeah, I think we got, like you said, we got a good mix. You know, we have some good upperclassmen, some good leadership from those guys who played in some big games last year. You know, I'll say I was surprised Jake wasn't a preseason All-American. He led the country in threes made. He led the country in three-point field goal percentage last year, averaged 19 a game. I think it's probably motivated him a little bit for sure because he's a guy that works extremely hard. He was a transfer from Rutgers. He was a preferred walk-on at Rutgers, and you know has done a really good job of fitting in with what we try to do. He shoots the ball at a really high level, so it really helps us space the floor and those kind of things. Cabe was the rookie of the year last year. You know, had a really good year as a guard. You know, can do a little bit of everything, can score it. Obviously does a good job, you know, passing and creating for others. Christian Sivas is a senior guard for us who came off the bench last year. He started the first couple games, has done a good job. Miles Primus, who started almost every game last year as a freshman, is another guy that gives us a lot of energy. He's a good rebounder, does a good job finishing around the rim. And then, you know, that freshman group, like I said before, has done a good job and found their way. And, you know, Christian Nicholson is a point guard for us. I think he's 20-3 on the season, assist to turnover. You know, not many people obviously pay attention to assists. You know, we got a guy sitting in our office, like I said, who still holds the record, so he definitely does. So he's doing a good job orchestrating offense and finding guys. You know, Ahmad Robertson's a junior for us who's been a 3-year guy that's played in every game since he stepped on campus. So again, a lot of pieces. You know, those young guys, Mason Tiers, another guy, and Kevin Beck, they got to keep developing. You know, I think the strength of our team is our depth. I think we're playing 10 guys double-digit minutes, and the 11th guy is like right under 10. So you know we can find different pieces every night. I think Jake's going to be a pretty consistent one, but I think there's a lot of other guys that can step up and have good nights, and that showed up on Saturday for sure.
Listen, it's a good team. I wanted to talk to you now because I saw that schedule ahead, and I said, you know, I'd rather learn about them now than be in the middle of that debating whether, you know, what's what, a win and a loss and whatever the result. And appreciate you finding time to join us. Big games ahead, obviously. And we should point out, you got 3 straight at home. That's going to be helpful playing at Panzer in this stretch against Gettysburg, Rowan, and William Patterson before you have to travel to Rutgers, Newark, and Ramapo.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, we actually haven't had a home contest yet. We didn't have a home scrimmage. We haven't had a home game, so we spent a lot of time on the road the first month or so. And you know, as you guys well know, Panzer's it's a very tight knit spot. There's not a whole lot of room in there. Yep. So it's been a great home court advantage. Actually, we've led the league in attendance the last 3 years. So that's hard to do with that size of a gym, but. We get pretty good turnout. We get great community support, great campus support. It's a really fun environment to play in. the championship game last year was one of the best environments. I've been doing this for 26 years, and that was one of the best environments I've been in. And Chuck had a great team. We had a good team. It was an overtime game. And we're looking forward to being back in Panzer. Hopefully a better result than we had the last time we were in there in the second round of the NCAA tournament. So, but yeah, it's always nice to get a couple home games in a row.
Well, and Karen Harvey's certainly taken advantage of Panzer when she's had the opportunities as well. We certainly have seen that advantage. Hey, appreciate your time, Justin. Thanks so much. Great insight. Good luck the rest of the way. Miss you out of the landmark, though I'm not technically in the landmark either anymore, but that's another conversation. As always, we give the guests, though, the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuned in?
Yeah, just again, appreciate all the support all you guys do for D3 Hoops. I feel like the last couple of years between, obviously you, the D3 DataCast guys, Bob Quillman, there's more guys getting information out there and I think shed some light on how good this basketball is. I was a D2 guy for 13 years, and there's a lot of nights in the Division III world where the game's just as good, if not better. There's a lot of good players, there's a lot of good coaches, and I think the more people realize that, the better off high school kids will be to understand, and it's really hard to play at this level. So again, thanks for all you guys do. We appreciate you having us on, and hopefully we'll be talking again in the near future.
Yeah, definitely. Couldn't agree with you more on all of those points, other than you spending 13 years in D2. Not everybody makes the right choices, Justin. Hey, take care of yourself. Good to see you again. We'll look forward to catching up with you down the road.
Sounds good, Dave. Take care.
Justin Potts joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline. Great to catch up with the Red Hawk head coach. Great run ahead of them. Catch a game, whether at their place or online. It's going to be fun to watch how they play out the rest of this stretch before getting back to the other side of the holidays and back into conference play. Take another break. When we come back, we will go up to Wisconsin, UW-La Crosse. My biggest mistake of the preseason comes on the show to talk all about it. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3 Hoops. By the way, Montclair, I had them in my top 10. Just a thought. We'll talk to you and talk to them shortly.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
I believe sportsmanship is a mutual admiration and respect for your fellow competitors. We all go through a lot to reach the point where we compete against one another. It's important to realize that. So once we're finally on the field or on the court or on the starting block, we look at each other as fellow human beings and not just competitors. Being able to recognize the hard work that other athletes are putting in creates a more positive and inclusive environment.
We are calling you, all of you. We are calling all Division III schools to join our cause.
It's on us to start the change. It's on us to be the change. It's on us. It's on Division III. It's on all of us to stop sexual assault.
Comprehensive learning is being able to adapt to experiences and apply the things that I learned. Being an athlete and juggling academics helped me grow as a person, and things that I've learned, I was able to apply it in another field, putting them into everyday life. Developing comprehensive learning helped me prioritize certain things to make sure I get to where I want to be.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this live show on a Monday. A quick scheduling note, we'll mention at the end. We will not be on the air Thursday. My commitments elsewhere have an early day. I've got a volleyball tournament to PA announce all weekend. Includes 2 quarterfinal matches on Thursday, and there's just no way I'm going to get a show put together on the air, out the door, then get to where I need to be. It's insane. So we'll be on the air next Monday, and we'll talk more about that at the end of the show. Let's see, I'm trying to get a tweet out about our next guest, but I am going to have to just send it after introducing him. So here's the deal. On last Monday's Top 25 show, we talked to Ryan Scott, which is available moving forward to all of those who are Hoopsville members, i.e. go to buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville to become a member, and you'll get to participate in those shows, or at least see them live with us. I admitted that I had made a mistake, and I realized I had made a mistake, I think, in the week leading up to the regular season, not at the time. I did not include Wisconsin-La Crosse. I didn't include any WIAC schools in my top 25. And part of it was probably because I made a mistake in my normal way of doing my preseason ballots. Normally, every single year, I take my old ballot from the end of the previous season, and I put it in front of me, and I write those teams down, and I start making initial notes on all of them. Yeah, they're probably still top 25. No, they probably aren't. Then I go to all the data Pat gives us, and I refine that, and I pick out teams I think should be in there, and I mark who should be there, blah, blah, blah. I did not look at one bit of my previous top 25 ballot this year. The mentality I had was, maybe I should be coming into this completely eyes open. Come in fresh. Don't have a mentality of the previous year. As a result of that, I think I didn't keep in mind schools that I should have been keeping in mind. La Crosse is an example of that. Great run the NCAA tournament last year. JT Gritzmacher's team is just so good, right? And I looked at it and thought, well, data from Pat says X, and you know what? I'm just going to wait on the Y altogether. I'm not going to include anybody. Oops. La Crosse went to Hampton-Sydney the opening weekend and came out looking pretty darn good. Not Hampton-Sydney, sorry, Virginia Wesleyan. They played Hampton-Sydney. Looked pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. And that's when the mistake definitely solidified itself. Joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline to talk about my errors and to introduce me to a team I should be paying attention more to is JT Gritzmacher from the La Crosse men's basketball program, who's off to a 3-0 start with an overtime win over Hampton-Sydney 77-75, 3-point win over Virginia Wesleyan 74-71, and a dominating win over North Park with Rose Holman ahead at Wheaton. JT, good to see you. Thanks for humoring me.
Yeah, no, Dave. Appreciate it. I appreciate being on.
Listen, 25-6 last year off of a 14-12 year, the campaign the year before. 25-6 included that run in the NCAA tournament where you guys were knocking on the door of making it to the final weekend with wins over Greenville in an insane game in the system, St. Norbert in a much lower scoring affair, Illinois Wesleyan, and then unfortunately WashU kind of showed you guys the door. But you also don't have that entire squad back, and I think that's what I overlooked. I kind of emphasized on data points I probably didn't need to look at. How has this team evolved from last year into this year? What's it bringing to the table, and what is so good about the Eagles now?
Yeah, no, I think you hit on the head. I think we're still trying to evolve. I mean, we're 3 games in, like Coach was saying in the previous segment. I think this is a lot of a learning time for coaches. For us, we kind of knew our top 3 scorers were coming back, but, I mean, we lost everybody else, right? And that's a lot of experience, a lot of just knowing what those guys are going to bring. And for us this year, we knew it was going to be some young guys. We knew we'd have a couple transfers that we wanted to see what they could do. And I think we're slowly starting to kind of merge into the team we want to be, and our depth starting to kind of get there. And we're just trying to get better, to be honest with you, at this point. And I think we got a lot of room to grow, but I like our direction. I just kind of like what our team's been bringing, especially to start the year. I mean, I think Hampton-Sydney's a really, really, really good team, and I think Virginia Wesley's a really, really good team. And we just found some ways to win. And then North Park, I think, is a really good team in the CCIW, and I thought that was a good test for us this weekend, coming off kind of a high of winning those first two games. And we're just going to try to continue to just get better every day, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it was the loss of two leading scorers that I thought, we got to wait on this. They leaned all on those guys. When in reality, we've seen that a number of times with programs, and they come out looking even better. Or we emphasize the fact that it's more than just the top two scorers and all of that. Listen, Hampton-Sydney, darn good result, right? And you traveled all the way to the eastern part of Virginia to play that game. So you not only did it with that, but you had the travel to incorporate into there. What did you learn, though, from your squad in that opening weekend with two wins over ODAC teams, two teams that are probably going to be in the conversation with who wins that conference?
I thought our resilience was pretty good. I think we got guys that, in the first game, I think we had a lot of guys play. We played four freshmen, right? And I think that to go in a game against Hampton-Sydney and you play four freshmen is tough for their first college game. And I think we got punched in the mouth a little bit early, just some physicality stuff, just kind of the bright lights. And we stayed resilient. We kept playing. And I think that led to confidence for the next game where we kind of just played a little more free. And then guys, just with minutes, I think players, you just get comfortable. And I think for us, we stay about 9 to 10 man rotation. And we have to, we're still learning how to play together. And I think we put a lot of emphasis this preseason defensively, and just trying to be together in the same unit defensively. And our offense, we know hopefully that will come throughout the year and we can kind of pick it up in those areas. But we just want to be on the same page defensively, and we put a lot of onus on that stuff. And I think our guys, to be honest, just really they've been bought in, and I think they've been bought in from the beginning. And it helps when our leading scorers are kind of our veteran guys. They're leading these guys. They're leading the young guys. They're giving them some grace and patience, but helping them out. And I think that's the best thing about our team right now is we got a bunch of guys that are bought in, and they're kind of all into everything we do.
Sam, 27 points a game. JJ, 17 points a game. Dustin, 11-plus points a game. Combo package of 55 points a game from that trio, averaging a combined 18 rebounds, 7 assists, and 6 steals per game. All three named to last year's WIAC first team, marking the first time in school history that had ever happened. Sam obviously had a great event at Virginia Wesleyan, 36, as you said, against Hampton-Sydney, the winning jumper, 27 against Virginia Wesleyan. I could keep going on and on about these guys, but the trick is when that trio either can't have a good game because somebody else is starting to slow them down, or they're just having an off game, right? We're all human. What's it about the rest of this unit that in the first 3 games you've learned that you think is going to be key?
Yeah, I think everybody just kind of bought into their role. I mean, you could go our second game of the year against Virginia Wesleyan. I think Dustin Druso was 0 for 2 for 0 points, and we had other guys step up. Sam Fergie started as one of our starting guards who was with us last year, who we like a lot, obviously, and he just really didn't get an opportunity because of some of the guys in front of him, and I think he had 14 or 15. And then this past weekend was kind of the first time I think all three of them were in the 20s, and I think they still left a lot on the table just as a team. And I think when we got a lot of guys that just aren't selfish. They don't really care if they get the shots. They don't care if they score. And they want to see each other's success. I mean, we had a freshman come in on Saturday who hasn't played a minute all year. He played 10 minutes. He scored 9 points. So, guys are just doing what they're supposed to do when their number's called, and that's something we kind of talk about is when your opportunity comes, are you going to be ready for it? Because it might be your only opportunity, but if you are ready for it, it probably will lead to some more opportunities. And I think we got guys that are bought into that, and they're about winning, and they're going to do what it takes to win, and it shows. And hopefully now this week as we start practice to prepare for Rose Holman, we just, it's a clean slate again. We got to get better. And we're just focused on the next thing, and we can't talk about or worry about, what our record is or where we're at. We just got to focus and try to just really get better as a team.
Yeah, you'll head down to Wheaton, Illinois. We got Rose Holman, and then you got Wheaton, and I don't remember who on the opposite side of that bracket. Then St. John's on the 26th. That's a hell of a Thanksgiving timed event. That'll be at home, though. Then Ripon and Concordia, Wisconsin. You'll play Concordia, Wisconsin, and at Wisconsin Dells. That's where is that? What school?
It's gonna be it's a little tournament. They're about an hour and a half from us.
Right.
Kind of close to the state. Yeah.
And you'll get North Central then at St. Norbert, North Central, Minnesota, by the way, at St. Norbert, with potentially St. Norbert on the other side. And then you get into conference play. This is an interesting schedule. Like, it's a mix of winnable games. It's a mix of challenges for yourself. What is it about these opponents that you're potentially going to face or have faced that's also going to get you ready for WIAC play?
I think for us, my biggest thing when we try to make our schedules, we want to be challenged, but I also want to know who we are. So, like, I want to know, because when we get to January, I mean, our league is a gauntlet where it doesn't matter what your record was in the non-conference or really what your record is at the moment. Anybody can beat anybody, and I think that has a lot to do with how good the coaches are, and then how familiar teams are with each other. You kind of know what teams do, and I want to know, all right, we got to get better at this. We got to do this, and the weekend. So, and I want to put us in tough spots. Like, I think to open the year against Hampton-Sydney and then either Virginia Wesleyan or Keene State, right? It puts us in an incredibly tough situation that we can find out who we are right away. And then some of the MPI stuff changes how we schedule, right? So, like, I don't have as much of a concern about, like, we have one non-conference home game, and it doesn't really over-bother me because I know that, if we can go on the road and win a game, we have a chance to get a couple more MPI points. And then if we don't have a home game, I don't mind having a neutral site game. So, like, because you can also, it helps your MPI that way too. So, like, for us, it's about putting together a challenging schedule, and when we put it together, we love it. And then when we get to, September, October, I question why we put together some of the schedules we put together. But it's just, for us, it's just about trying to figure out the best situation for our guys and put us in the spot so that when January comes, we're good. And then the tournaments are great settings because, I mean, they replicate what NCAA tournament looks like. And I think last year we got in a little trouble. The Wash U game, I think we ran out of gas, and it kind of exposed us. And I want to make sure we can replicate that as much as we can.
So last year's WIAC, it was you and Platteville. That was the race. Platteville 13-1 in conference, 26-3 overall. You guys were 12-2, 25-6 respectfully. Then it was a step back to Eau Claire, Stevens Point, Whitewater, etc. Eau Claire was 17-10 overall. Stevens Point was 18-9. Eau Claire was 8-6. Stevens Point 7-7. Point being is it was 4 or 5 games back to everyone else. A little bit un-WIAC last. It was almost women's style WIAC, to be honest, while the women took on the men's style of just everybody was good. I can't imagine looking at things on paper that's how this season will play out. What is your thought on how the conference will shake out in terms of not only the race for the top, but how it will look nationally? We just got done talking the NJAC where they got 4 teams into the tournament last year. How does it look, do you think, from a national perspective on who's got what back and how competitive they're going to be?
Yeah, I think last year, like Eau Claire, they had a lot of games where they could have won, right? Brand new coach. It's a first year. So sometimes we went through that our first year. And then even in the other spots, like, at Stevens Point, second year last year, Whitewater, second year. So you guys are kind of still building their program. Where now this year, a lot of programs are kind of set, and you see that with some of the teams, how they've started. But I'll take our league like against anybody when you get to the NCAA tournament, when you get to those things, because our league just prepares it. I think you have to have your A game every single night. Otherwise, you'll get beat. It does not matter who you play. And I think, like, even Oshkosh last year, the way they started, and then they take a tough injury. That changes your team. So I think that the conference record, I guess, doesn't really paint the full picture of what I thought our league was, because you could go through some of those games, and I mean, they came down to 1 or 2 possessions at the end. And I just think that this year you get a lot of the league loses some players, some of the top end guys, but you have a lot of teams that are solid, and I think that we know that, and I think that's why for us, like, we want to make sure we're as ready as we can be when we get to the league. And we got we'll have 7 guys who never played a game in our conference, right? So they got to get some of these games under their belt, so they know when they get to conference play, like, it's going to get even more physical. You know, teams are going to know what you do better than you know what you do. So we got to just continue that, and when we get there, then we got to take it one at a time. And I think that's the part about our league is you play Wednesday, and if you're looking forward to Saturday, then you're going to lose on Wednesday. So we know that, and it's just going to be a gauntlet.
Or if you get a big win on Saturday and you got another game on Wednesday, the letdown is something you got to watch out for. Not the letdown, but wow, we got this, and then somebody smacks you on Wednesday. And playing at Platteville, playing at Stevens Point, playing at Whitewater, playing at Oshkosh, and all these different places, and the challenges that those will certainly present. Before I let you go, I'm kind of curious. You are in your 3rd year. You mentioned Stevens Point, and of course you took over La Crosse when he left for Stevens Point. And then Pat Miller decides to leave Whitewater, your alma mater. Of course, you had spent a few years as an assistant coach at Whitewater before heading off to Southeastern in Iowa, and then Bryant Stratton in junior college land. Did you kind of call Pat and go, dude, could you have made that decision sooner? Like, I took the La Crosse job. Or were you even tempted to go for it? Or are you happy where you are? Is this the program you want to build?
Yeah, no, I love it here. Like, I didn't have there's no calls like that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where I want to be. It's, you know, Pat, Coach Miller, like, he's done so much for me for my career. When we go on the road this weekend, I mean, he's AD at Beloit College. So when we go on the road this weekend, we're stopping through there. We're going to practice up there, so I'll be able to talk to him a little bit. But no, I mean, I think they got a great thing, obviously, going at Whitewater. But I'm excited about what we got here, and I just think that, you know, I love everything about here. I really think that for us and for where I'm at in my life, this is the perfect place to be, and I'm excited about where we think this program can go.
You're in a wonderful location too, right? Right on the lake, in the western part of that state. I mean, Whitewater is maybe a little closer to some things, but I totally get the La Crosse idea. I'd be wanting to be there too with that kind of vista alone. JT, appreciate the time. I could talk to you forever. I promise I'll make up for the mistake. You'll probably be on my ballot next week, barring catastrophe. Looking forward to seeing how this plays out. Looking forward to the WIAC race. And what I'm really interested in is seeing how, as you said, all these coaching changes in the conference and all these evolutions, where that brings the conference to its next state. Thank you for the time. As always, though, we give the coach the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those tuned in?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. You know, I think I appreciate everything you do for, you know, Division III basketball and this show. I think it's an awesome show. I mean, it's good. It's Mondays. It gets our Mondays moving a little faster too, and we're excited. We appreciate it, and you know, we give grace over here, so there's no worries about the mistake.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, trust me. I'm not giving myself grace, but I appreciate you giving me some. Keeps my Monday moving too, by the way. No slouching around until Monday evening when the show starts. Again, thanks for the time, JT. Congratulations on what you've got going there. Look forward to seeing where it takes, as I said, and at least enjoy it, as stressful as it might get.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Dave. Sounds good.
Take care of yourself. We'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
JT Gritzmacher joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline, talking Wisconsin lacrosse basketball. That WIAC race is always going to be fun. The women's side is going to be also fun. We're going to be talking to a lot of Wisconsin schools, I have a feeling, this year on the show. We'll take a break. When we come back, Smith women's basketball. Lynn Hersey's been holding on patiently to talk to us. We'll talk to her coming up. We never talked to her this early. This conversation I'm looking forward to. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3 Hoops from the WBCA Studios. I got to get that written up here. We'll talk to you soon when we talk to Lynn Hersey.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC 1927. That's NABC.com or NABC 1927 on social media.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, then I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault. Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
I learned a lot of valuable lessons playing college football. I never thought about the health benefits of exercise until I actually started to talk to coaches in college. It's not only just for performance, it's for life. My coaches instilled the importance of well-being, not only building up strength, mental health, getting enough sleep, eating properly is all what it is to be healthy. I decided that I want to go into personal trainer and share my knowledge that I obtained in college about physical and mental well-being.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics. And in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody, on this Monday. A reminder, we will not have a Thursday show. We'll talk about that coming up in our final segment. We'll be back on the air next Monday. And the first in-season Top 25 will be released on Monday, and that means the first in-season Top 25 Double Take show will be on the air as well. You can watch that show live and get access to it ahead of everybody else by going to buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville and becoming a Hoopsville member. We're kind of breaking habits all this November, talking to programs that sometimes we don't talk to until the end of the season, which I explained at the beginning of the show, why that tends to happen. And this one I couldn't resist. Smith women's basketball, 3 straight Final Fours. I think last year Lynn Hersey showed just how damn good a coach she is with the program that they had, getting all the way to the title game. Interesting enough, she has faced some of her former players in the mix there every once in a while against NYU as well. I'm sure she'd love to get rid of that habit. But that said, you don't get a program to 3 straight Final Fours with different different talent and different X's and O's unless something's really working well. And to add to the challenge, and we don't lean in on this heavy enough, I don't think, Smith is an all-women's school. We know a lot of all single-sex institutions that do not have this kind of success, including in the NUMAC. Well, Wellesley's had its moments, but can't stay in the conversation. Mount Holyoke doesn't get into these conversations. But something that Lynn Hersey and Smith have done has worked out tremendously. And so talking about it in November seemed like a novel idea. Let's talk about what Lynn doesn't know at this juncture of the season versus what she already knows in February and March. Joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline to humor me is Lynn Hersey from Smith. Missed out on getting the chance to play Cal Lutheran, as we heard about earlier this show, because of the travel challenges out there. But nonetheless, off to a solid start at 2-0 in the year. Lynn, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. It is pre-Thanksgiving. It's a little weird.
I'm not going to lie. Again, like I said, you're thrown off the routine here. So I'm a very superstitious person, Dave. So anything goes wrong, I'm coming to you this year.
Oh, let's not add that to what everybody's favorite topic is of the Hoopsville jinx. Let me go back to last year. I said it in the preamble there. I thought what you did with that program last year, not only the success, but to get to the Final Four to boot, get to a title game against NYU, 31-3. That's 3 straight seasons of 30 wins. And again, 3 straight Final Fours. But I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought you went into that season maybe with more questions than you had at any year in the previous few. And the idea of being in Salem for a Final Four is probably a bigger challenge or a longer goal than than you'd had in the previous couple of years. Am I right? Am I making more of that than it is?
Well, I mean, I think once you go to the previous year, we obviously were in the national championship game against MIU as well. So, once you hit 2 Final Fours, I mean, I don't think there's any goal but a Final Four, right? And if you're thinking something else than that, I think you're selling your program and your players short and your coaching staff short. So ultimately, despite whatever we lose, and every year we've lost at least 3 starters, National Players of the Year, All-Americans, et cetera, we found our way back. So, a big part of that is the experience of getting there and knowing how to do that and knowing how to approach an entire, almost 6-month season and, all the habits that go into allowing yourself to have the best chance to make that type of run. And, I think the one thing our program has is 3 times to the Final Four in back-to-back-to-back seasons. You learn a lot about what you should be doing. And so that's ultimately kind of the space, the mindset that we're in. And, again, the goal this year is to win it all, not to get back, but to continue to progress the program in a way. And, we're always trying to figure out how to close those gaps and the things that we haven't achieved yet. So that's kind of our mindset going into this year. And ultimately, what a honor to be able to have the run with the group that I had last year. It was extremely memorable for me and for the entire Smith community. But we got a new group and we got, a new challenge ahead. And, we're sort of immersed in that right now and ready to take on each day.
You mentioned losing National Players of the Year and, of course, and All-Americans. Then you face them in title games. That is... I mean, you got to obviously salute them, the opportunities to that they get because of that COVID year to be able to go and do some other things and that maybe Smith doesn't allow. And listen, Smith's not unique, right, in terms of what there is or is not available for graduate programs. But is it bittersweet, too, to know you got an opponent on the other side who knows you just as well as anybody else? And what that matchup is like? And what's that like for your current players to know that they're going up against a former teammate?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, 2 years ago when that situation occurred, for us, it's, we have a group that we are focused on in the current year. The players who are here wearing the Navy, that have Smith across their chest. And, certainly like that's our team that year, right? And you really, you just dive into the people that you have that are working hard for you every single day. And, we're facing the challenges together in that year, just like the previous year, it was the same thing, right? So, I'm not trying to oversimplify that. Clearly, there's added layers, but in the really day-to-day of what we were doing, it's a lot more about investing in who's here and who's playing for you, and how do we get this team to the level that the last team just got to, and and actually that team went further. So in a lot of ways, it was trying not to allow distractions, honestly, that's a big part of being a really mature basketball program, is eliminating the distractions that come your way and really focusing on the things you have control over and diving in on those every day.
You have, as you say, a new team, essentially, just 2 seniors, and you're going to have to go, I know it's 2 games in, but you're going to have to go down the stat sheet a little bit before you pop into one of them. It's juniors and sophomores that kind of are jumping out, and these are juniors that certainly played important roles last year as sophomores. Virginia Johnson and Maggie Fleming. Felicia, I'm not going to be able to get Felicia's last name right. Briaria, etc. It's interesting. You have a somewhat young team this season. And so I think that was another thing that intrigued me to talk to you now, is you're trying to get this team to where usually upper class led teams have gotten. What is their strengths? What are the things you're all going to have to work on?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things with that. I would say that, my rising junior class only knows national championship games. That's
true.
It. That's all they know. So
that's true.
In fairness, sort of the maturity to get to those points and understand, what that feels like and what that entails. I think we have a very veteran team in that regard. In terms of starters and turning over, younger players into these new roles. Again, I think they've really witnessed other players before them do that really well. And so I think both of those things are sort of unique to us. I think we would see those as strengths. And we certainly recruit like the boldest, sort of run into the spotlight moment players we can possibly find. So those things I think we're good at. But every team has their own identity. And I think that's what you're searching for early in the year. What is it that this team's going to be like? How do we have to coach it differently? And what challenges will be coming forth, and what's the leadership going to really look like in those moments? So, right now, early on, it is about identity for me, mindset with this team, and really evolving like a captain group that can be elite. And those are the things that we're really searching for right now. And it does take a little bit of time to try to navigate all those different variables and really as a coaching staff and as a full program, find out what it is you're gonna lean on throughout the course of the year, in these first 6 weeks, once practice starts and then you start to go into games. So, we're in that process, and the games that we play will be helpful in really testing us and early on. And, we're okay winning ugly early, and it usually is the case. But ultimately, the goal here is for us to make sure we're doing a lot of searching about ourselves and controlling what we can control.
3 straight Final Fours certainly allows recruiting to maybe be a slight bit easier. We should point out, lost to Transylvania, lost to NYU, lost to NYU. You faced teams that were juggernauts at the time. If you want to talk about bad luck, you could certainly have that argument. But again, you're good enough to be there, not to make a Buffalo Bills reference or anything. But you're an all-women's school. And I said this earlier. I'm near Bryn Mawr. They don't tend to be in the conversation. We know the schools south of here. In terms of Hollins and Sweetbriar, Wesleyan of Georgia is now going to leave Division III. I don't think they've won a home game in 60 plus. Wellesley has certainly had its moments. Mount Holyoke can make things interesting. You guys have figured something out there at Smith that makes you ultra competitive, makes you a national power, consistent Final Four in the last 3 years. And let's not joke, 2014-15 isn't that long ago when you were 10-15 in the middle of a couple 18-win seasons. What is it about Smith? What is it about your program? What is it about the athletic department that seems to get those recruits to say, yeah, all women's schools where I want to be, and I'm going to go compete for them?
Well, I think the first thing is, the mission here is obviously about elevating women in all facets of their life, right? And, what's really unique about our program is that we get to do that through the sport lens, right? And, for us, what we love about being here is that, we're the football of the school, and there's not a lot of opportunity where young women or girls ever get to really immerse themselves in what it feels like to have an entire community really coming to support them and them only. And for me, as a mom of two little girls, I have a 6 and 9-year-old little girls, and I think about, what I would want their experience to be like in college, and what kind of coach I would send them to. And, I think that Smith is just a really good partnership with my values and my beliefs and how we should be elevating young women into these really bold, powerful, battle-tested mindset, and also just, individual who can go out and accomplish incredible things once they're done their time here. I don't see a better place in Division III than Smith to do that. I think it's, we're resourced that way. The gym is ours. The weight room's catered toward women. There's a lot of things that this school is in the fabric of its culture is catered toward evolving women in that way. And I really appreciate that about Smith. It's something I've really identified with my coaching. And so we, when we go out on the road recruiting, we are different. And we're not hiding from being different. We're selling that we are different and that we're proud of the things that we do differently, because it is actually, in my opinion, like the elite experience for Division III female athletes who play basketball. So that's where we are in terms of Smith. And obviously I have an incredible, president, an amazing athletic director, and an upper cabinet here at Smith that's totally bought into how important it is to win for women. And we don't really hide from that. That's something that we embrace and embody. So, it's a great place to be. I love our community. They show up for us. We sell at the gym every game. And they'll travel on the road wherever we go with us. And, it's very soulful to be a part of an experience like that. And, our program, we're just super fortunate to be here.
That's a terrific way to break that down. And it's going to sound a little maybe off, but it's almost too bad more women's schools haven't figured out that mojo, for lack of a better description, because I'd love to see them celebrated. I mean, we got Hampton-Sydney on the men's side, we got St. John's on the men's side. That's tend to be very competitive all the time. On the women's side, it's fewer while there's more. And I'd love to see that take a different adage. And we can unpack that some other time. Being a member of an institution that used to be all women's, went co-ed, and that's how I ended up at the institution. I can understand some of the dynamics that sometimes happen behind the scenes. Let me jump over to your conference. It's a member of 12. You all play each other once, so that's half your schedule. So you've got a challenge to try and get that rest of your schedule booked. Has there been any, I think I bring this up every once in a while, has there been any serious talk of at least going to some offset double round robin, i.e. you play half the conference a second time to get you up to about 18 or 15 games? Or is that just not going to happen on the women's side, and you're just going to have to grind to get a schedule put together every year?
Well, I think what's really great about our schedule, and I'm a big proponent of the single games that we play in our conference, is that, it allows every team to have an opportunity in their non-conference to really schedule based on where their team is performing currently, right? And for us, I think it's really critical that we play the NESCACs, and if I didn't have the amount of the flexibility to be able to go head to head with a lot of those schools, because those wins have really solidified a lot of things, which I don't think without the head to head, we would have been given, sort of the benefit of the doubt on those things, right?
Fair.
So we need the games, we need those games to be sort of in the conversation. Now that we have the MPI, I think it's even more critical. So, I think in terms of that, from the Smith lens, I would, I like the way we're scheduling now. And in terms of the NUMAC, since we've gone to the single game format, we've had more at-large bids in our conference over the years since I've joined than we ever had before. And I was a part of a double. I was a part of the split that you're talking about, and I'm a part of the single. And, we got in as the first at-large in the conference back in 2012-13.
Yeah.
And that was, that was the first time the NUMAC even had an at-large bid. So since then, Springfield's been in multiple times. Babson's been in multiple times. So it's really benefited the conference as well competitively. Getting games, you got to hustle. You got to hustle. You might have to, take some trips. Last year, we had a hard time getting games, so we went to Cali. They always need games.
Yeah, they do.
So, it's a little bit of hustle, but, it's certainly, as coaches, hopefully it's worth it for you, because that's, giving your team the best chance, in my opinion, to get an extra at-large bids to the conference. So I think that's really important.
We like to pride ourselves in hard-hitting questions, Lynn. You talk about playing the NESCAC, and you certainly will. Trinity, Connecticut, end of the month. Williams will be on the docket. You've got, by the way, outside of that, TCNJ as well. Mass Dartmouth, who's always a tough opponent. You'll then have Hamilton, Middlebury, Tufts. Tufts, of course, handed you all a loss last year. Very good teams on top of the conference play. And if everybody talks about how the NESCAC has an advantage, especially in men's basketball with at-large teams, it's amazing how many nobody talks about the NUMAC women, i.e. there's other things there. Who I've not seen on your schedule, at least since you consistently became a winning program, that I find fascinating. You are a former co-head coach at Amherst and a former assistant coach at Amherst. I haven't seen Amherst on your schedule dating back to at least 2016-17 season. Is GP scared of you? That's how I'm going to spin it. Is GP scared of you?
Well, I think that, playing them in the NCAA tournament this past year.
Yep. Have gotten them a couple times.
Having the opportunity to bring two really great women's programs together in the Valley. I think that was a really good matchup, and obviously it was a really close game, buzzer beater scenario. So maybe that will generate some momentum in the future here. But obviously we're both scheduling the way we feel like we got to schedule to give our teams the best shot, and certainly. I'm always looking for games, Dave. I'm always looking for games.
Yeah, Amherst is kind of just down the road, as it were, there. By the way, I misspoke earlier. I said in the Boston area. I did not mean that. I meant in the Springfield area. You guys are in central Massachusetts.
We're in Western Mass.
I know you all call it Western Massachusetts, but as a guy from New England who has driven every part of that darn state to prep school or college, you are central Massachusetts. Lee, Massachusetts would be Western. Okay. Williams is Western. Salisbury School is where I went, so I drove to the west. Sorry,
I see your way of thinking here. Yes, I got you now. Yeah,
that's where I go. Everything west of Boston in Massachusetts is called Western Massachusetts. Don't get me wrong. There's this college in Maryland called McDaniel that used to be called Western Maryland. It was it's an hour max, 45 minutes from Baltimore. It's not West Maryland, by any stretch of the imagination. Lynn, another advantage of talking to you this time of year is you haven't completely lost your voice yet. I did notice that while we were talking to you today. What do you got ahead of you? You're at Mass Dartmouth, you're at Johnson & Wales before returning home for a whole slew of games. Trinity, Williams, MIT, Husson, NCJ, TCNJ. There we go.
Yeah.
Bridgewater, Hamilton. So you got a couple of away games here before you really can sit at home and enjoy Northampton a little bit. What's the message to the team about the start of this year, expectations, et cetera, when you guys are in the locker room?
Yeah, I mean, we don't shy away from the expectation. I think that obviously when you've had yearly success, it builds upon itself. And, certainly I'm one to really run toward it. I love it. I want our players to have that kind of confidence and belief in themselves. First of all, that, they were recruited here for a reason and they have a real impact in how our team does. And then obviously our team as a whole, that we believe we can play with anybody in the country. And, it's a build, and these early games are really important to focus on, fundamentals and execution, and making sure we're doing like the controllables in a game really well, like clock management down the stretch, or really identifying matchups and understanding where the ball needs to go. I think those are like some of the nuances in the early games that, can control wins and losses of short margins. And so, those are some of the additional things outside of your typical things: low turnovers, low fouling, your ability to control the boards, and really create like a nice rhythm within a game. So we have a lot of work to do. We're in work mode right now. Every game is going to be tough for us. This week's going to be a challenge. And obviously at UMass Dartmouth, they've beaten us the last couple of years. And we picked up Johnson & Wales, and they have a really nice young team with a really amazing scorer, on that team as well. So, it's going to be a grind week, and, we have to be a team that's just, ready for that, that type of level of execution early in the year. And hopefully we'll, find ways to get the wins.
When we start talking about the NCAA tournament in earnest, we'll be talking about Smith in other ways, too. No one knows. Kristen Hughes, the athletics director for Smith, is the committee chair for the women's side. We've already talked to her off air as we kind of prep for the season. Former Colgate coach, former athletics director outside of Ohio in a school district. That's insane, in my opinion. Got her master's at Smith, certainly knows the school well, and certainly well respected. What's it going to be like that if you've got questions, instead of having to call or email the committee chair or somebody on the committee, you can just walk down the hallway?
Well, Dave, my lane is to win games, right? And my lane's very specifically taking care of this program and the players in it and getting ourselves in a position where, if I'm asking questions, I think we're doing our job, right? So,
yeah.
I think her lane's going to be making sure that tournament's run really well for every, young woman who's in it, and really making sure they have the best experience that they've earned, right? And, I know she'll do that, as well as anybody in the country. And there's no doubt we're very fortunate to have her here at Smith. She is, very much our leader, and certainly someone I come to work, I come to work every day for, and really want to push myself to be the best I can be. And when you have someone like that who's a leader, inspiring you, that's just a great environment to be a part of. So, it's a full team effort here, a full family effort, and we're gonna put our head down and continue to get to work each and every game, and she'll do her part in the committee, and hopefully your show with her will be fun.
Oh no, I'm looking forward to having her on the show for sure and having conversations. 2 athletics directors as committee chairs this year. I can't think of the last time that happened, and I'm looking forward to that perspective from both of them, who both have experience in the sport certainly as well. Hey Lynn, great to chat with you. Thanks for the time. Really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing how this season plays out for all of you. I'm just writing you into the Final Four now. Oh, by the way, quick question before I let you go. You've now played in 3 different places for the Final Four. You played at Duquesne, I think, right, in Pittsburgh. You played at Capital, and you've now played at Roanoke College.
Roanoke, Capital, and then we were in that year where it was split with Division I, so we went to Trinity down the road.
Trinity, that's who I was thinking of. Sorry, Trinity. Yeah, I jumped on Duquesne there. It was Trinity. Would it be nice to not be jumping around, or have you enjoyed being at 3 different places?
I think that we've met such great people along the way. It's kind of fun to be able to, the committee, the NCAA committee as a whole, and then the hosts have always been just really invested in the experience for all the players who are part of that Final Four experience. And I obviously there's a lot of people have a lot of opinions on what happens, but ultimately I know there's a lot of work that goes into that. And from Smith, we're very grateful to meet the people that we have met along the way. We've met some really incredible, hardworking individuals, and also just some really kind-hearted souls out there. So in terms of that, we love good people. Give us a gym, we'll take any gym, but the people that make the experience are most important to us.
Yeah, I can appreciate it. Thanks for that insight. I got to let you go. I've kept you way past I told you would. I'm sorry. But as always, we give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts in November that you'd like to share with all of those tuned in?
I just want to give a quick acknowledgement to our Smith community, who has yet again, first game of the season, gym is absolutely packed, standing room only, and just shows up for us time and time again. And we're super grateful, and I just want you all to know we're going to work really hard for each and every one of you. So thanks for investing in us and believing in us.
Awesome. Well said. Congratulations again, Lynn. Great to chat with you. Look forward to catching up, and we'll talk soon. Enjoy the holidays, will you?
Same to you.
Thanks. Lynn Hersey joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. Great to chat with her. That was fun. Jokingly, we don't get to chat with her all that often at this time of the year, and good to get a different perspective, right? Instead of the one that is a little bit more understood of what the team is. They got more questions, but it's interesting. 3 straight Final Fours. I can't imagine we're not expecting that to happen yet again. We'll take a break, put a bow on this show, and start looking ahead at what we got coming up. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA Studios. Back with a whole lot more when we come back.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.D3Hoops.com.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC 1927. That's NABC.com or NABC 1927 on social media.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all. It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail,
I'll rise up with honor. It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
I used to never really talk, ever. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. It helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. We're just finishing up chatting with Lynn there off air. She brought up the same thing we talked about earlier, that Scranton win by the women's program over Pitt, and what that means for Division III. I'm your host, Dave McHugh. Thanks for tuning in here from the WBCA Studios, presented by D3Hoops.com. Appreciate the support of the Women's Basketball Coaches Association. No pressure on the NABC. We've been talking to them a little bit as well. We're looking forward to finalizing something with them, and we'll talk about them a lot more often as well. By the way, at the bottom of your screen, if you're listening to the podcast, we'll give you the information, but there's the QR code. Website's buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. It's buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. That's where you can become a member of Hoopsville, which gets you some extra perks, including shows that others will not have access to, at least initially or ever. First off, it's the Top 25 Double Take. Next Monday, new Top 25 will come out, and we will be talking about them on the Top 25 Double Take show. That is live only to members, and it will only be available to members on video and podcast archives for an initial period of time before it's available to everybody. That is Monday evening, starting about 8:30 p.m. We'll talk men's with Ryan Scott and a guest to be named. And then on the women's side, we'll double check who we're talking to. I got to figure that one out, and also a guest to be named. Again, go to buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville or scan the QR code on your screen. We've tweeted this out. It's pinned to our social media channels as well. Lots of other things. We have figured out the lip sync issue on what the problem was on our videos, especially live. The problem is, to solve that, we got to figure out some other things behind the scenes. So we're streaming straight to YouTube now. If you like watching us on Hudl, we upload the show afterwards, so it's available there as well. Again, talking to Lynn Hersey about that win by Scranton, and also the dynamic of recruiting to Division III. 3 straight Final Fours. We talked about the advantages that brings. A win by Scranton over Pitt, the advantages that brings. I was talking to an individual recently about at a D1 program, talking about trying to get some recruits out of Division III to come to a mid-major D1 program. Here's the challenge with that. Let's be honest with it. Anybody who's going to come to a mid-major, middle-of-the-pack, at this time, conference team isn't coming out of Smith. They're not coming out of Scranton. They're not coming out of Amherst. They're not coming out of NYU, etc. So the big D3 players that would help a program like that at D1, they're not going to get to entice. Are you going to tell a Smith player, hey, leave Smith for our mid-major squad in Division I where we might get some headlines? Yes, we can throw some NIL money at you, but the grand scheme of things, they're competitive at the national level at Smith. Probably a steep hill to climb. Same with all these other schools. Plus, there's an academic side of this. They want to go to somewhere they can get solid academics, but also be relevant in the conversation. Now, in the recruiting wars, you're going to get those who go to the D1s versus the D3. But to then entice one to leave a top program in Division III to go to a mid-major D1, the only ones that's going to happen with are those who just have this ego mentality of going and getting D1 scholarship money or NIL money and give up a chance at national titles, at national competition, at conference titles. To be honest, we see it in men. I still don't understand some of the decisions some men's basketball players have made in transferring to Division I. They have disappeared. Duncan Robinson is one of a very few that transferred out of D3 to a D1 and stayed relevant. So anyway, it's an interesting dynamic that I've been in the middle of for the last week or so between Division I and Division III. But Scranton win over Pitt, even though it doesn't technically count for Scranton, pretty darn impressive, to say the least. And hats off to them for that accomplishment. A reminder, Hoopsville will not be on the air Thursday. I have responsibilities where I have to be at an institution by 2 o'clock. It's down the road, so we could always shift Hoopsville earlier, but it just adds a ton of pressure and other elements to the equation to try and get done. Plus, I'm going to have to try and turn around the podcast. Then I got to be doing it from that institution, which means most likely I'm not doing it until that night. There's just a trickle-down effect that, as much as I wanted to, it's insane, especially in November. We have time to talk to people. We don't have to overstress. So I thought about making today's show a little longer. It is a little longer, but making it an hour longer. Decided against that for this show. Monday's show pre-Thanksgiving, maybe we add an hour to that show because, again, we won't have another Thursday show since it's on Thanksgiving. It's Monday shows until we hit December. And then we're Monday, Thursday. And from now on until we are done pre-Christmas, we'll have this Top 25 show that airs in the evenings on Mondays as well, where we talk about the Top 25. Again, to get access to that show, buymeacoffee.com/hoopsville. We had the preseason show available to everybody, but to gain access to that live show, buymeacoffee.com/hoopsville also gives you a chance to ask questions and be part of the show in that capacity. Send a B or at BobC44934 mentioned best coach in D3 Go Bears, which made me forget. Smith has a new mascot. They didn't change their logos because it's always been an S, but they're no longer the Smith Pioneers. They are now the Smith Bears. Now, what's interesting about that is on Twitter, I keep tagging them just out of due diligence, but they haven't used their Twitter account, the General Athletics Twitter account, since November of 23, November 2023. Basketball still uses theirs. But again, the Smith moved from Pioneers to Bears. There's a handful of schools that also changed their mascots. I got to go out there and get those logos. But speaking of which, you might notice we rearranged some of the jerseys, put some new ones up. Some of you want to send us jerseys from your institutions. Thank you. Please do so. We have a whole mess of them that I've got to get on the wall that I don't have hangers for. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to add information. If you're interested in helping us out, there's this jersey system called Jersey Genius. So we've had a relationship with, again, trying to make something work again for this year. They're about $20 each, I think. Maybe cheaper on Amazon. I can't remember. We'll look them up here. But that's what we use. I'd love to have every single uniform I have on a Jersey Genius just so I can hang it up. And I don't have to take one off and because every jersey is different, reset everything. That said, as my wife pointed out, where are we going to store all these jerseys? She's got a point. But we'll put out a link for that as well. And if you're interested in sending us a jersey, if you don't mind, send us a Jersey Genius as well to hang it on, and we'll be good to go. We also have some ideas for a T-shirt of the show. We'll figure that out. And I'm planning, maybe by next Monday, we'll see what kind of time I have. If not by December, redoing the jersey wall. Worst case, we redo this for January when we restart everything. Redoing the jersey wall so we can hang more jerseys on the wall too. That'd help our storage just a wee bit. I got some plans to do that, and we'll try and get to it. Lots of great games ahead of us this week. The lead into Thanksgiving is always full of great games, especially now that more and more schools are willing to play challenges. Like tomorrow night, Tuesday night, Eastern Connecticut, and this is on the men's side, at number 1 Trinity, Suffolk at number 4 Tufts, Mass Dartmouth at number 19 WPI, Concordia, Texas at Hardin Simmons, who's ranked 20th, and Berea at number 21 Maryville. By the way, Maryville got a little bit surprised by Oshkosh. Maryville beat Pfeiffer, Berry, and Sewanee, and then went to Bloomington, Illinois, and lost to Oshkosh 94-91 before then having a squeaker of a game against Illinois College, 69-65. On the other side of that, Oshkosh then lost to Illinois Wesleyan, 75-68. So that's just showing you how tough the men's side is going to be. I think pretty good of Maryville, and they had a bit of a rough weekend. There's a ton of games, by the way, tomorrow night, Tuesday, the 18th. And then you could get to Wednesday the 19th. Some teams are still going to start dipping into conference play. Christopher Newport will be taking on North Carolina Wesleyan. The captains on the men's side are 1-2 to start this year. They beat Penn State Altoona, but have now lost to Randolph-Macon and Catholic. They've got NC Wesleyan, Cairn, Dickinson, Pfeiffer, Marymount, Southern Virginia, before then taking on Virginia Wesleyan, Emory, and Denison in the middle of December. So they've got a bit of a chance here, do the captains, to get rolling before they will have a heck of a challenge in December. By the way, Hood is lurking in late December. Remember, Hood knocked off Catholic in overtime. They've continued to win. They beat Ramapo by 20 and beat McDaniel 75-59 in a tournament in Westminster. So that's worth keeping an eye on. Big tilt, by the way, coming up on Wednesday. Number 11, Chicago, taking on number 16, Illinois Wesleyan. You also have Wisconsin Platteville taking on North Central. Number 22, Catholic, gets into conference play against my alma mater. Gettysburg will be at number 23, Montclair State, which we talked about earlier in the show. And TCNJ, 24th ranked, will be at DeSales. But the NJAC will get going soon, too. So there's a lot of NJAC teams trying to get in their last tune-ups before conference play starts. This is just the next couple of days. I can't even go through the whole weekend. In women's basketball, Mary Hardin-Baylor, who's off to a rough start, will get things started, or will get going tonight against Laverne at Laverne. Mary Hardin-Baylor, who was in the top 25, is off to an 0-4 start with losses to Whitman, Emory, Claremont-Mudd-Scripps, and Redlands, and they haven't been close in a lot of these games other than Whitman. Whitman, they lost by 4. Emory, they lost by 21. Claremont-Mudd-Scripps, they lost by 29, 30. Redlands, they lost by 22. Katie Novak-Lenore's got a challenge there for the Crusaders, who are not starting as many expected. They play tonight against Laverne. Tomorrow, Bowdoin's in play against Maine Pascal. Johns Hopkins is at Morgan State in a game that's, hey, listen, as good as Johns Hopkins is now, I will say it now, as good as Johns Hopkins is, what Scranton did to Pitt, Hopkins can easily do to Morgan State. Actually, I'll be more surprised if Hopkins doesn't beat Morgan State. Saying it now. I'd be more surprised if Hopkins can't beat Morgan State. Because I think Pitt's a better program than Morgan State, and I think Scranton and Hopkins may be equal-ish. If Hopkins doesn't beat Morgan State, I'll be surprised. Now, that's a game that I don't know if that's counting for Hopkins. Let me double check that. I think it's an exhibition for them against Morgan State. I want to double check. Yeah, it's an exhibition for Hopkins. But if they don't beat the Bears, I'll be surprised. Bates is at Husson. Carnegie Mellon's at St. Francis of PA, non-Division III. SUNY Geneseo's at William Smith. That's a good little test for Geneseo, who's had a bit of a bumpy start to the year. They're 3-2 with losses to Scranton and Springfield, but wins over Manhattanville, Keystone, and Rochester. Alma is at Hope. Penn State Harrisburg is at Gettysburg. This is women's basketball. I'll be there for that game on Tuesday night, plus a whole mess of other games. And then Wednesday the 19th in women's basketball, Scranton at Drew as conference play starts up. That's a good game to tune into. Smith will be at Mass Dartmouth, which we talked a little bit about. That'll be a good game. Baldwin Wallace at Oberlin, Skidmore at Trinity, Connecticut, Pitt Bradford at John Carroll, La Crosse at Loris, Amherst at Bridgewater State, Goucher at Catholic, Christopher Newport at TCNJ. We got a good week ahead of us in terms of schedules, folks. Tune in. D3hoops.com. You'll get your scores and links to as many games as we can provide you. It is worth tuning in. I think we're going to have another good week of basketball leading in to Thanksgiving. By the way, Ryan Scott wrote a nice article about Oshkosh and Carthage and expectations and kind of the basketball family. Check that out in the Around the Nation. Alexa Charles, by the way, reached 2,000 points. Congratulations to her at Hunter. That's not an easy thing to do, and congratulations to her on accomplishing that. And with that, I think we're going to put a bow on the show. Thanks to Dennis and Eric and Ron for your support at buymeacoffee.com. For the rest of you, go there, head there, find out how you can help the program, which we greatly appreciate if you can. And with that, we'll thank our guests from Cal Lu, Kelli DiMuro, from Montclair State, Justin Potts from Wisconsin-La Crosse. It was JT Gritzmacher, and from Smith, it was Lynn Hersey. Thanks to their sports information directors and staff as well for their assistance in helping us put the show on the air. Again, we'll not be on the air Thursday. We're back next Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern, and then again at 8:30 p.m. Eastern for the Top 25 Double Take Show. And we'll do that again the following Monday as well. And then we'll be back to Thursday shows after Thanksgiving and going up to about the week before Christmas. The Thursday before Christmas will be our last show for the holidays. We'll be back on the air then on January 4th or 5th, whatever that Monday is, and run it all the way from there. And by the way, speaking of buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville, we're also going to be starting the Hoopsville Off-Court podcast series in December. That is exclusive, I should say, to those who are Hoopsville members. If those interviews get released later, they will be released a significant time later. So go to buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville to access those interviews and those conversations. There are going to be some early on that you're going to want to listen to ahead of time. It's kind of our hook, as it were. And with that, we sign off. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. I'm Dave McHugh from the WBCA Studios, presented by D3Hoops.com. This is Hoopsville. Join us on Twitter at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville, on Facebook at Facebook.com/Hoopsville, at Instagram, look up at D3Hoopsville. We're also on Threads and some other things. We will do our best to keep those up to date and informed, but thank you for taking the time to join us. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you to all our guests for joining us, and we'll look forward to catching up with you next Monday. Have a great week of D3 basketball, everybody.